Hello, Mixtresses and Mixters. This is Mixtress Ray. You're watching Mixtress video. So this may be a silly video to put on the internet simply because I'm pretty sure this second edition of Desert Illuminations Tarot is already sold out. However, if I chose to put this video up, it probably means that I am right now having an auction for this because, spoiler alert, I prefer the first edition and I'm not going to keep both. So there you go. Happy Christmas. Maybe you could be the lucky winner of this deck. And I am selling it on eBay because I do need to recoup some expenses for just things in general, but you know, specifically for this purchase because it was a more expensive purchase. But I did want there to at least be a video out there. Forgive me if one has already been done. I have not been paying attention to the Tarot Tube world lately, so I'm kind of out of touch. But so if this video already exists where someone's comparing the first versus the second edition, forgive me, here's another one. Okay, here is the front of the box of each, the side, the back. Again, this orange box is the first edition. And then the other side, an enchanting divination experience. Okay. As in terms of like box feel, like this second edition box has a little bit more of a matte touch to the box, and it's a bit thicker cardboard, just a bit. Okay, so the first edition has this little, did I show the back of the boxes? I did, but I didn't really look at it. Anyway, the text is slightly different. And the first edition box has these little cactus pentacles, because it's the pentacle suit in the deck. I will say I have trimmed my first edition so that it would normally be full size with borders. I trimmed it, so, and edged it. And then this second edition has this, and it's also signed and dated. Okay, oops, left the Fool in there. Okay, so the pamphlets are different. I think the text is basically the same. I've written in, because for a while on her Instagram she was kind of like letting us know what some of the like inspirations for some of the cards were, so I was like filling in that information. And I reordered the cactus spread so that it made more sense to me. Reordered the cards. So that's the pamphlet from the first edition. Here's the pamphlet from the second edition. Again, I did not go through with a fine-tooth comb, like looking at this text to see, is it all the same text, whatever. I didn't do that. Hopefully the image is clear enough that you can pause and look at it and compare yourself if you would like. But that is the pamphlet for the second edition, which again, I believe is already sold out, and this is going to mass market. So if you're watching this right now and you're like, God damn it, I'd love to have this deck, but it's all sold out, just hang tight. It's going to come out on US Games. I don't know when, possibly sometime in 2023. I don't know. Okay, as you can see, the backs have been changed. I prefer the backs on the first edition because this particular shade of purple here is my favorite of all time. And I personally think that they went, I don't know, she went a little hard with this. It's a lot, in my opinion. The gradient from the purple to the teal, the eyeballs, the, you know, the fact that she took out the purple color completely from the backs. I just think this is a little I mean, I actually like it, but in comparison with this, I do prefer this. Or this, sorry. I do prefer this. Because this looks more like a blanket or something, you know? Okay. There are like about a handful of cards that have been changed in the second edition. Of course, some of them are obvious, such as this first card. And then others are not as obvious. Yeah, I was afraid of that. I was afraid that this would be an issue with the ring light. Hopefully that's okay. I think that some of the first edition printings were linen, so the cardstock might not actually be different for most of the first edition versus second edition, but I have the first printing of the first edition, and it is not linen finish. So as you can see, it's different. Love linen finish. The cardstock is nice and thin and flexible in both cases. Okay, let's get into the flip through. Maybe I will just sort of bring this ring light back, and then I can just hold the cards up like this. There we go. That looks good. Okay. So as you can see, the Fool in the first edition was called the Clown, and it is the Trickster in the second edition. The titles have also been changed, and it's borderless by design now. And the Magician has also been changed. I do prefer the Magician in the second edition simply because we have an alien, and I'm into that. I am sort of holding this one up a little bit so it looks like it's closer to the same size. But as you can see, in this particular image, like, she's actually smaller. Like, it's kind of like this image is zoomed out, which is okay. It's okay. But in a lot of cases, okay, here's a good example of it. So one of the reasons why I'm choosing to keep the first edition is because in a lot of cases, because of the formatting that had to be changed in order to make this deck borderless, we missed some of the imagery. So like in this case, we're missing some of the sky in the second edition, which is kind of sad, I think. This one's maybe better in the second edition because you can see more, you can see the whole gun, and you can see more of the cactus. I do like, even though like whenever I made this first edition borderless, as you can see with the titles got cut off a lot of the time because the titles were pretty scrunched to begin with, and then taking the border off made it even more scrunched. And it's a bit hard to read with that dark purple next to the black, so I get why she changed the titles. But I miss that purple. I just miss that purple. This chariot is improved because you get to see the cactuses on either side, and you get to see the whole face of both horses. So yeah, this is one that bugs me. This one bugs me because it's so zoomed out in the second edition. It just, the weight of the image, it just feels far away. It feels emotionally removed, and I don't want to feel emotionally removed. If I'm getting the strength card, there's a reason for it. I don't need to be emotionally removed. You know, there's just too much sky. They zoomed too far out in this image. I don't know why. As you can see, not many of the images were changed. It's just formatting shit because they made it borderless, really, most of the time. In this one we get a small change, because we get the addition of the moon. Or it's just, you know, you're seeing more of the artwork, perhaps. Maybe you couldn't even see the moon before. No, I think you'd see part of it. It is sad that, like, the head of the skeleton horse is sort of cut off in the first edition, but it looks like a weird composition of image to me when I'm looking at this second edition. Anyway, sorry, I'm being critical, but it's because I myself am not going to be keeping both. So I am actually, this is a true unfair comparison because I'm actually choosing which one I'm going to keep. And I'm pretty sure I already know the answer to that. I don't have a beverage in here, guys. What was I thinking? And this one, it looks obvious to me that these lines on the left side of this cactus here and the right side of this cactus here were added afterwards for this edition, maybe? I don't know, because they're just thicker and they look rushed. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. In fact, I'm pretty sure I am, but yeah. In both editions, it annoys me that a lot of the time, like, the number of the card is not centered. I mean, it is in this one on the left, but a lot of the times it's not centered in both decks. It just annoys me because it's like the number is just thrown on there somewhere, you know? See, and part of the scorpion's cut off in this one. And then the number's thrown off to the side. I don't like that. I realize I'm being very nitpicky, but I did spend a chunk of money on this deck. It was not cheap. And the improvements overall, I'm not into them. So, like here we have, like, this might seem like such a small thing, but my brain is it really focuses on tiny details and doesn't let go. And that's how it works. And I just have to embrace it. So, like, the fact that in the first edition, we see that the, like, cow is, like, almost there. Almost to the UFO. Whereas in the one on the right, it looks like it's at the beginning of its journey going up. You know, because there's no space underneath. Isn't that stupid? Isn't that stupid that I care about that? It's so stupid that I care about that. But I do. Here's another one that bugs me because you don't see the full top of the cloud, and you don't see the full little river on the bottom on the second edition. It's zoomed in too far. And they probably had to do that because of the formatting to make it borderless. But, you know, what's wrong with the border? Like, the reason that I cut the borders off of the original first edition is because they were just regular white borders, and because this deck is so saturated, the colors are so vivid, it just kind of looked weird to me to have a stark white little border on the cards, so I took them off. But she could have just decided to change the border, make it like, you know, make it like this purple color, right? Wait, it's not on these because it's the minor, but make it the purple color of the original titles. That could have been the border, you know, something like that, or some kind of like funky like design like she's used for the backs of the cards. Make it into a cool, visually interesting border so that you don't have to sacrifice any of the imagery when you're making something borderless, which is a problem. It's just a problem. Just is. See, it's just like throwing that 6 over here in the corner. Like, I don't know, it just bugs me. And you don't get this scope of the arch behind her head because at the top of it's cut off. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I bought the second edition, because the 8 of Wands in the first edition actually has 10 chilies. or the 8 of Chilies. But it looks, I mean, this looks like a rush card either way, honestly, but it looks even more rush in the second. Like, I wish he would have just changed this image altogether, because it seemed like an afterthought even in the beginning. Just making a circle of 8 chilies, but actually it's 10. Like, was this originally supposed to be the 10 of chilies, and then she forgot to make the numbers make sense? I don't know. So in some cases, it's like, I don't know, the formatting seems slightly better in the second edition, and in some cases, worse. Like here again, we're missing some of the lily pad in the bottom. Not much, just a little, but we're missing some of it. Whereas here, they were able to get almost the exact same formatting. This one looks weird to me because there's no like delineation between the sky and the floor. So it looks weird on the second edition to me because it's just like box floating in the ether that they're sitting on, you know? Okay, so here's one of the only other cards that was changed. This might be the last one that was actually changed. So it's not Zorro anymore. It's somebody with a mask over their face, and then there's a purple planet, moon, something, sun in the background. Okay, now that I've said that whole, like, sometimes the number is offset, even in the first edition. I'm, like, not even noticing any that are. I might be just overlooking them at the time that I should be paying attention. They all seem centered in the first edition. And they're bigger. Like, it's easier to see them. So the fringe on the bottom of her dress is cut off in the second edition. It's upsetting. I was talking to Michael about this. Like, look, the formatting. Look how this little piece of the landscape is cut off. And he was like, just like backing out of the room slowly. I'm gonna just go away now. Like, he could not care less. But I care. I do care. I will say also this deck, ooh, it is off-gassing a real, like, make playing cards level stank on the second edition, which was kind of an issue with the first, but not as bad. Okay, this is the one that I was showing Michael, and he's like, oh my god, who cares? This one bugs me, because part of the landscape, this is one of the deal breaker cards for me, because this is one of my favorite cards in the deck. I really like this Ace of Daggers. But in the second edition, some of the mountains are cut off, and at the top, the eye is cut off. Like, you can't see the top portion of the design of, like, the eyelashes design at the top. It's just cut off. Like, why? It just feels like this second edition, like, was rushed, kind of, to me. I'm just gonna kind of flip a little more quickly through the ones that don't really have much of a difference to them. I mean, you do get to see a bit more of her arm in the second edition, which is nice. This is pretty much the same formatting on those. And this. And this. Although there's a bit more space on the sides. Bottom of the blanket is cut off in the second edition. We don't even see his belt buckle in the second edition. Totally gone. Is it important? Not if you don't already, like, I've had this deck, this first edition, for almost 2 years, almost exactly 2 years. Like in like a month, less than a month, a couple weeks, it'll be 2 years. So I'm used to certain details, you know, like the bottom of this, like, whatever you call the horsey blanket thing is gone in the second edition. It's just gone. Not there. But, I mean, the horse's snout is not cut off in the second edition. It's possible that I am the one that cut off the snout, but I did pretty good with this deck. It was pretty consistent as far as, like, when I took the borders off, I didn't have to sacrifice much artwork at all. So I don't know for sure, but it's possible that I'm the one that cut that snout off. Another one, like all the aces pretty much sacrifice some of the landscape, and that's sad to me. I like it. Don't cut it off. Yeah, okay, so this is one where the 2 is not centered. Why is it not centered in this image? It so easily could be centered, but it's not. And it's not in this one either. What the fuck? I don't know. Okay, here's another one where it's not. Again, like their feet are cut off, and this one, I mean, they're partially cut off on the one on the left too. Pretty much the same for the formatting here. This one's just shifted. It's just not consistent is the thing. Like some of them you see more of the image, some of them you see less, some of them are shifted up, some of them are shifted down, as far as like the, you know, what's actually showing in the imagery. It's not consistent. So it does feel rushed to me overall. I mean, let's be real, this deck, I love it. I really do. It's amazing. This was one of the quickest purchase decisions of my life. I found out that this deck existed in January 2021, and I bought it within half an hour of knowing that it existed. And I ended up getting one of the last 6 copies of the first printing. And I love it. I use it all the time. I love it. So that caveat aside, let's be real, this deck didn't take this person a ton of time. I'm not saying it's not thought out at all. It's better than anything I've done. It's more thoughtful than anything I've done. But there were aspects of the first edition that were also rushed that could have been fixed in the second, and they weren't. This is one of the best images, by the way. Don't you love this? God, it's so good. So nothing is sacrificed in the second edition of this, except maybe the top of this, like, circular portal thing. Okay, this is another one that really bugs me. All of the court cards in the cactus, like, all these last 4 cards I'm going to be bitching about, so get ready. The feet are cut off in the second edition, and most of the landscape is cut off in the second edition. I don't like that. And I get why it had to happen, but she could have also just redone the whole image if she didn't want to. If she wanted it to be borderless, I think she should have spent more time fixing the imagery instead of just cropping things out. That's what I think. Also, feet are cut off of both of the cows in the second edition of this one, and almost the entire landscape is cut out. And I think the landscape is important for the cactus suit because it's the pentacles, it's earth. We should be seeing that they're grounded. They're not just floating in space. And then the queen, like a bunch of her garb is cut off. I don't actually mind it though. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. I don't think I would actually give a shit about that if I did decide to keep the second edition, but I'm not going to. I'm going to keep the first. First edition is the one that I have bonded to, and this should be a lesson for me going forward, that if I have really bonded to a deck, maybe don't buy the second edition. For me personally, that is the answer. So follow the link below to my eBay listing of this, because I am going to list it. I'll probably just do like I don't know if I can do like a longer auction, like a 30-day or something, or maybe I won't make it an auction. Maybe I will just do like a buy it now. I don't know. Haven't decided as of this moment, but if the link to an eBay listing is at the beginning of the description underneath this video, then click on it if you want this deck. And we'll see what I did. Yeah. It's just, okay, let's talk. I haven't posted a video in a minute. Okay, so for those of y'all that subscribe to my channel and you're here because of me, I am going to hopefully be putting out a video this week on Sagittarius season 8, 9, and 10 of Wands. The 10 of Wands will be ending on the solstice, which might be the day you're watching this. Because I'm recording it on the day before the solstice. So most likely it won't be up until the actual solstice. Or maybe even a day after. So that's coming. That video's coming. I think I'm going to continue my series of like going through the minor arcana astrologically in real time. I'm going to continue it a sign at a time. So I'm going to do Sagittarius season 8, 9, and 10 of Wands all at once. And then next will be 2, 3, and 4 of Pentacles, which you'll see in another 3 weeks. And that's the general idea until I finish this project, which will be in fall 2023 when I finish this project, since I started at 2 of Swords, which was the first day of fall, which is the first decant of fall. So there's that. For those of y'all that are my patrons, I appreciate you so much. You have no idea. I'm dealing with less funds this year, less income this year. And as things get more and more expensive, it's just been amazing to have that extra income source. Anyway, so I love you so much. And if you are interested in becoming a patron, the link is in the description below, as always. But I'm going to be recording y'all's winter solstice ritual, hopefully tonight. If not tonight, then I will be recording it on the actual solstice, which might mean, depending on how kind the YouTube upload gods are to me this week, might be a day or two late. Sometimes, because I like to get into it with those ritual videos, you know. It might be a little long, but it'll be worth it, even if we have to wait a couple days for it to upload. That's the point. So there you go. This is Desert Illuminations, first edition versus second. yeah, I'm a little sad that I am giving up the correct 8 of chilies, but let's be real, I don't even really like the imagery of this card anyway, so it's fine. And I have, like, if you also have the first edition of this deck and this bugs you, don't buy a whole new deck because this one fucking card bugs you. Believe me, you'll regret it, just like I did. But here's the thing. Because it's the 8 of Wands, which is a very fast-moving card, I like to think of it like everything's going so fast that you're already at 10. You're already at 10 by the time you pull this card, so it might as well be 10 chilies, you know what I mean? So while I am sad that I won't have an accurate number of chilies on the 8 of chilies card, I've got a lot of energy in this first edition of this deck. There's a lot of energy in this. In fact, let's take the time right now. Oops. Of course. I haven't bumped the tripod in like a couple of videos, so I had to go ahead and do it now. Let's go ahead. I have not even shuffled this second edition. Never. I've not shuffled it once because I knew almost immediately, oh, I'm not keeping this, which is sad, but because I waited a long time. Well, not that long, but I'm not good with pre-orders, but I did pre-order this one back in August. So I haven't been waiting that long, I guess, but just like 3 months or so. Let's see, September, October, November, December. 4 months, I guess. Almost. Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. Like, if you weren't able to get a hold of... Here's another little tip. I guess I probably shouldn't have put this here because people that are interested in this deck have probably already tuned out since I started talking about myself. But anyway, if you were never able to get a hold of the first edition, like, even though I am stating that my preference is the second edition, it's not like my preference is the first edition. It's not like the second edition it's bad. It's not bad by any means. It's fine. It's great. It's still the deck. It's still Desert Illuminations Tarot. So it's not like it's a bad choice. This is going to be pretty subjective, right? People are going to have opinions and they might not be the same as mine because this is a great deck. And if you've been waiting to get a hold of this deck, I will say, if you are able to get a hold of the second edition, if you're like me and you don't like US Games cardstock, then this cardstock, I'm holding the first edition right now. I'm talking about the second edition's cardstock, but it's great cardstock. It's flexible. It's linen finish. It's kind of stanky, but it'll dissipate. God, my nails are not totally dry, and I am scuffing them right now, shuffling. But let's just do a little Desert Illuminations reading for you guys. Just for funsies. Just for funsies. Could probably fit 3 cards on here. And I was looking forward to having, because I kind of regret trimming this deck just because I don't really like the smaller cards. I like full-size tarot cards if I can help it. So I kind of wish I hadn't trimmed it. And I was looking forward to having full-size cards. But it's just like, I need to remember this for the future because getting a second edition just because some of the cards are changed and I like the changes is not enough of a reason, because I've already put my energy into the first edition in this case. And if I've already put my energy into something that I actually like, don't buy another edition of it. For me. This is me talking to myself here. So our reading is Death, 10 of Swords, and 2 of Cups. Ooh. Is somebody going through a breakup right now? If so, this reading is for you. Yeah, let's get a clarification card on. Obviously, we're dealing with a transformation and an ending. that has to do with a romantic relationship. So why? I want more clarity on specifically this Two of Cups. The World. Yeah, it's an ending. It's an ending. Maybe it's your time is up with this person. It's time to start moving on. Like it's already over, but it's time to admit it and move on, I guess. See how beautiful this deck is? Sorry, I just transitioned out of like a really harsh truth for whoever needs to hear that to, oh my God, don't you guys love this deck? Oh my God, but I really do. I love the colors in this deck. And it's really unique the way that the colors are coming through in this deck. It's just, you know, most decks don't have this saturated of imagery, and it's just so beautiful. I just love the colors so much. Yeah, anyway. Okay, that is Desert Illuminations Tarot, first versus second edition. Which one do you like better? Okay, bye.